day full of fun-filled surfing activity known as the Paul Mitchell Neon Supergirl Pro here at Oceanside. Nice to have you out and about.
The atmosphere of the Supergirl Pro this year is bigger and better than ever.
To me, it's like the US Open of female.
You know, it's about bringing girls together, and right now there's just such a huge movement of women just empowering each other to go out there and have a try.
There's a lot to check out if you're a spectator, which is cool, or a fan. We've got the stage set up for musicians to come and play.
The atmosphere at the event is awesome.
All the factors that they bring to this event, the music, the skateboarding, the surfing, you know, just making it a great time for families. I think it's really special.
You know, all these little shops everywhere, and
it's all about women and empowering women, and lineup of people on the pier as well. So you're kind of surrounded like a little stadium, which is, it's fun.
It's really exciting and high energy, so it keeps you psyched all day.
So we are at the Paul Mitchell Neon Supergirl Pro Surf event in Oceanside, California. And inside this beautiful Paul Mitchell neon tent, we are doing braids and pink extensions for $5. And all of the donations go to a charity called No Place for Hate. We're having autograph signings with our athletes and just having a great time at the surf event.
The reason I love this comp so much is how it empowers young women to be strong, to pursue their dreams, and have that never give up attitude.
Oh my God!
Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Rosemary, joined by Dawn, and we are covering Hearthstone again for the Supergirl Gamer Pro. Welcome back to our 9-week-long series where we cover 3 different titles for Hearthstone, CSGO, and League of Legends. But tonight it's Hearthstone, and we're already at week 3.
Yeah, I can't believe we were talking about it before the stream went live, but yeah, this is already week 3. Like, we've already done 2 weeks. This is so crazy. But only week 3 out of 9. We still have so many more to go. And I just want to put out this quick reminder that each week is its own individual tournament. Mm-hmm. So everybody that wants to participate, please get in there every single week. Get registered for these individual tournaments. But they do have a cumulative point system, so pretty cool there. Do you want to go ahead and jump into kind of the format and talk about how this all works?
Sure. So for Hearthstone specifically, since it's a completely different title than how CSGO and League of Legends get played out, Hearthstone is a standard conquest format where you bring 3 decks, you ban 1, and you have to win out with the other 2. Each week is a bracket of 16 individual women, I should say, that battle it out for these points. And for points, we have a placement system and a point system that these players can rack up points to qualify themselves for a spot at the Grand Championships in California, October 3rd to 4th, and that's going to be San Diego, California. And as Dawn said, every single week is a completely different week. So if you want to sign up and you want to register, head over to www.supergirlgamerpro.com and also follow us on our socials, Facebook and Twitter at SGGamerPro. That is SGGamerPro, and also join the Discord. So if you aren't a Hearthstone player, maybe you're more focused on League or CSGO, then you can also find teammates in that Discord.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned about these points. So the point breakdown is first place every single week actually gets 100 points. Second place, 75. Third and fourth, each 50. 5th through 8th, each get 25. And for the Hearthstone, any women that compete and, maybe get knocked out, it is single elimination like you mentioned, but 9th through 16th, just showing up, competing, even if they're out, hey, they still get some points with 15. So we have some women who have done pretty well over the last 2 weeks so far who have kind of been building up those points.
Oh, yeah.
But because of this, getting points every week, no matter what, as long as you play and get in there and earn some points, some of these women could start to tally those points up over the next couple of weeks and kind of push their way up to qualify for those finals you were talking about.
Well, let's talk about those 4 women that are at the top of the point accumulation system right now. We have Anda Fern with 175 points, Edelweiss with 125, Trojanator with 100, and Nasil with 75. And that is going to be the top 4 spots for now, but it's the top 8 that qualify you for that grand finals in California. So gotta keep competing every week because who knows who's gonna come out on top. Like Don, we were mentioning this, that every couple of weeks there's going to be some differences and changes to the Hearthstone that we know and love on this format because of nerfs, buffs, and expansions coming through. Even the last couple of weeks, while it was very control dominated, where we saw a lot of Priest, we saw a lot of Galakron, it might be a little bit different moving into these next couple of weeks. You were even mentioning that we might see some more aggro-oriented decks.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of wondering if we're going to see a lot more aggro with people trying to target hunters, but I'm wondering if some of these women actually don't bring hunter because of the expected high aggro. But it looks like we do have a first match kind of lined up with Valeera Light versus Melira, and I'm not sure if have we seen either of these women on stream yet?
We have not seen either of these women on stream yet. But before we get to that amazing matchup, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we'll bring you that first round one.
So I'm going to hold on promoting you this quarter. Cool?
Drop the taco. Get in the car. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you? Wait, what? The handling. It's good, right? No compromise there. Nope.
Watch this.
Breathe. Rear automatic braking. So if this Nissan Sentra isn't going to compromise, why should you? You're right. Atta girl.
The all-new Nissan Sentra with more standard safety features than any other car in its class.
Don't hold on to me.
It's all worth it.
Ladies, Chris.
I hear that's really bad for you.
What? No, this is about finding true love.
No, I mean the screen.
Oh, no, we're all good there. These Zenny lenses, they block the blue light.
I mean, that's still really bad for you.
This is amazing. Please go away.
Chelsea.
Oh, no, don't pick her. Oh.
It's not just the ships, the armor, or the aircraft. It's something more. It's the will to fight and determination to win, found inside each and every Marine that answers a nation's call. Battles won.
Told you it would be a short break as we are gearing up to get into the action. But first, I want to say a huge thank you and shout out to all of the sponsors that make the Supergirl Gamer Pro circuit possible at all. Thank you so much to Zenny Gaming, to Nissan, to the U.S. Air Force, GameStop, and the Marine Corps. Without you, it would not be possible to have this tournament. And we know how important the mission and vision are of Supergirl Gamer Pro, where we want to be a part of the movement and change the culture about supporting more women in gaming. So tell your friends and spread the word, and thanks again to all of our sponsors for making this a reality. But we, like you said before break, Dawn, have a match on our hands for our round one. So who's playing and what decks have they brought?
So we have Melira, who looks like brought a Druid, Hunter, and Rogue, and Valeera Light playing Rogue, Mage, and Hunter. So forget what I said about not bringing Hunter. There's definitely Hunter. But on Valeera Light's side, her Hunter has actually been banned out. And the Druid for Melira has been banned out. So I'm interested to just jump into this first game here and see which decks are queued up.
Well, it looks like Melira has chosen to bring the Rogue, and we also see that Valeera Light has brought that Mage. And what really excites me about this is that the Rogue for Melira is the Galakron Rogue, and for Valeera Light, it is going to be that Highlander Mage. Yeah, the hunter choice hasn't been banned through, which I think is really interesting because maybe Melira is thinking like, okay, for her exactly it was, I don't think I can deal with the hunter on Valera Light's side, so let me just go ahead and ban it out. And then for Valera Light, it was almost like, I think I have a better matchup against your hunter, especially if maybe I roll the Highlander mage into it. So we'll see what ends up having, what happens on the next couple of turns. But as we get into the game and we take a look at the state of the board so far, it looks like Valera Light has some pretty hefty card investment in hand, where I feel like Valera is just off to a much better curve to start things off.
Yes, it's definitely an interesting curve. I'm not sure if I feel like either one of these is favored right now just based on their hand. But I'm going to be curious to see how well this Dragon Caster ends up being played out. There's going to have to be a good spell drawn for this Dragon Caster to get some good value. So we might end up seeing that, and there's still multiple turns still to go before that Dragon Caster can come down anyways. But I do really like the this kind of stealth package that's going on, the secret package going on from Melira's side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the secret package is really interesting. Like, there's two rules of thought when you play the Galakrond. It's either secrets or the stealth. And I think that both of them are valid, but I feel like the stealth is a little bit more popular when I've seen tournament gameplay, particularly for Supergirl Gamer Pro. It's been more of that stealth. So it's been kind of interesting to kind of see how Melira has decided to build this archetype, and I still think is off to a very good start.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, what a start indeed, but going a little wide on the board here from Melira. Some decent statted bodies, and ending up, I really love this interaction, ends up getting the faceless lackey down, which pulls out the beast that grabs a secret from the deck, and there happens to be secrets from this rogue deck. So what a combination there. That worked out really nicely in Melira's favor.
Yeah, but what about this top deck for Valera Light, where the Blizzard just came into hand, and because Melira decided to go wide on board, this looks like such a juicy board for Valera Light to just go ahead and pop the Blizzard on. But you do have your Watcher on board that's able to pick up the clear onto this Phase Stalker, which would definitely help with relieving some of that pressure from that secret generation. But what's the follow-up from that? I think the Blizzard has to come through.
Yeah, it's kind of an awkward spot because only half of the board ended up getting cleared. I mean, it does freeze the other minions. I almost wonder if there could have been an argument for even just playing the Zephyrus and taking the SI Infiltrator at 4 mana to remove that one secret on board. But I definitely understand there was quite a bit of damage showing on board for Melira, so going for that Blizzard, just trying to, I guess, slow down the damage potential a little bit there and stall. But picking up this Power of Creation is going to be really nice now going into this turn. And the Deep Freeze. So,
yeah, there's so many tools. And these are the turns that we were talking about. It looks like Valera Light is starting to get up to those high value mana turns that really matter. You have so many different ways now that you can kind of play around this board that Melira has developed. And this is where Valera Light can start taking control of the game.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in general, Mage is kind of, once you get to the later part of the game, the Mage just has all of those tools to start doing a lot more things. And Valyria Light also, part of that toolkit is the Zephyrus that has just been very patiently waiting in hand. And I am really curious to see what ends up happening with the Zephyrus. These choices here, I definitely like the taunt options. Maybe the Sunwalkers? Yeah, just kind of going for some Divine Shields.
Yeah, that puts a lot of health between Valyria Light and Valyria Light's face.
Yeah.
So this is a great option for Valyria Light to go with. And because most of the minions that are on Valyria's side are more or less tokens in this case, the Divine Shield plus the 5 health for each Sunwalker, that does a lot to stop this pressure. But look at all of these secrets that are going to be coming through.
Yeah, lots of potential here. And even picking up a Freezing Trap, that's pretty nice. That just kind of really slows these down. And I'm not sure if Valyria Light is... She might even try testing first if this doesn't get cleared with the Dragon Caster. I wonder how that's really going to play out. I feel like she's probably okay with the Dragon Caster being put back in her hand to play again later.
I would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just get so much utility, and especially when you take a look at how the Highlander deck functions, you only have one copy of each card, so it's almost like you're getting double value, or getting a second copy if you get a chance to use that. But the Deep Freeze comes out first, and this is where the testing begins. Recognizes now that that's going to be a noble sacrifice coming in from the Shadow Jeweler Hanar. And there's the second secret getting popped from that Shadow Jeweler Hanar. There's the Freezing Trap that gets that Dragon Caster back in hand.
Yeah, and now using that Deep Freeze here, it does make this Dragon Caster being put back in hand a little bit awkward. Maybe if it can get a 4/4 body out on board and play a 0-cost puzzle box later on in the game, that could be something. Or potentially another big spell that's found from the Caligos.
Yeah, I'm looking at that Caligos in hand, and we're just a couple turns away from getting a chance to use that Caligos, but it's definitely a swing card for me when you take a look at this matchup. So, especially when you are kind of looking at the board that got developed in that last turn, Melira not only had the token come through from Noble Sacrifice, which didn't get cleared because you had the Freezing Trap, but a couple of lackeys, as well as the Shield of Galakron that went down. So Valyria Light also did get that Rolling Fireball in hand. That might look pretty good here to be able to clear up the Hanar.
And it's so awkward, though, because the way this positioning ended up on the board, I was going to say you might almost want to take out these 2 minions at the other end of the Poisonous and Taunt, but it still does leave that Hanar. And at the 4 health, these poor elementals only have 3 attack, and there's no mana left to be able to try to ping it down. So now she has to decide if she wants to double trade into the Hanar and get rid of it, or if she just leaves it up for another turn.
That is a really interesting choice. Because the Hanar right now isn't doing like too much. The secrets haven't been, I would say, high rolls, but at the same time, you never know what's going to be a high roll coming through from the Hanar. So I think it's good to play it safe a little bit and just clear it out with those elementals. Seal Fate comes through. This Galakron has been invoked to full at this point. And there's no stopping Melira from getting the full value from that Galakron whenever she is ready to use that Galakron.
Yeah, absolutely. And these turns have been pretty consistent, I'd say, for Melira. It feels like, I mean, every turn she's been able to apply pressure, get value, do something. And it's just leading up to another turn where when she does drop that Galakron, it's going to be another huge swing.
Valyria Light's already at 12 health.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about that for a second? That Melira has been so good at controlling the board, but also pushing damage. that Valyra Light is at 12 health right now. Even the Alexstrasza in hand isn't really enough of a tool at this point to, I feel like, save Valyra, but maybe this Zephyrus can do something to bring Valyra Light back some health.
Yeah, I'm curious here. I think Zephyrus might offer a swipe. I mean, that's kind of the best thing that I see the Zephyrus would offer here would be a swipe, and you could use it on the taunt and then just ping down that reborn half that comes back with 1 health. I'm just curious if that's what she wants to do. It doesn't seem bad. I mean, she also does have the option of playing a 0-mana Frost Nova here after this Kalecgos. These choices don't feel super great.
I mean, Arcane Explosion kind of felt like the lesser of few evils in this case. It at least clears off all of the 1 health minions, but you still have this reborn minion that's still sitting there on board, and now it's time for Galakrond to let it rip.
Yeah. And we'll see how impactful that rip is with these now 1-costed things.
Oof, the roll of the 0 cost.
Gonna go in on the Miscreant here, just gonna see what lackeys are found.
There's a good clear here. You could use the Goblin Lackey to provide your lifesteal minion with +1, or just go ahead and flick Skyshiv. That's pretty good value for 1 mana.
Oh, absolutely. I really like that flick there. I mean, this Kalecgos just had so much health that it's going to be difficult for Melira to deal with any other way without putting so many different resources into it. So I like just using that flick there. And, I mean, playing against a Highlander deck, again, there's really only going to be few times where there might be duplicate minions out on the board, and that's going to be with Power of Creation or that Deep Freeze, and we've already seen both of those, so I do like her choice to just use the flick. It's probably only going to kill 1 thing anyways, so get it out there.
And now that's pressuring lethal. Valyra Light has to find an answer to the board that Melira is presenting right now, because that is 10 damage just from minions alone, 15 if you're going to count the weapon from Galakrond. So Zephyrus has got to find something good in this pinch, and Flame Strike's going to do it here to clear off the board, but it doesn't save your face long enough. You've got to think about the health coming through from Tyrion Fordring's Divine Shield, and then also whether or not the Ancient Watcher would have been it. But you can't play both. You have to, you've got to freeze something. But maybe you also have to play the Kartut. It's hard.
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward because it just feels like there's not quite enough mana to try to figure out how to do it all or prevent it all this turn. This looks pretty good, though. She already saw a stunner early on in the game, from Melira. So I do like this play here from Valyra Light. Just hopefully this is enough. Get rid of that weapon and kind of force your opponent to try to get through this taunt that then heals.
Ooh, but this is where the Goblin Lackey comes in clutch, because that means you can have Togwaggle that sends that damage to face, and then you have just enough for lethal on board. That was great calculation by Melira there to get that first game.
Yeah, absolutely. That was really well played. And, I mean, just getting that Hanar, the early wide boards, and just push all of that damage through kind of early, like you mentioned, that was very, very well played. And so taking game 1 with the Rogue, Melira now has what looks like a Highlander Hunter. Looks a little bit like, very similar, I'll say, to the kind of Highlander Hunter that we're accustomed to. This version is running Frizz and the Evasive Worm, and does still include Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, but does not have a Sayamat. So that's a little bit interesting. I have noticed some lists are starting to remove the Sayamat, and I'm not sure if it's just people feel it's too clunky, it just doesn't get enough value. I think they're kind of putting these things in that it, like the Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, like go big or go home in a way. Like, you know, if you're gonna go for the high roll, then go all in on it. So we see that Hunter there from Valeera, and Valeera Light switching from Mage over to Rogue.
Yeah, I was going to say, Valeera Light, knowing that Malira has to run the Highlander Hunter, might opt to bring the Galakrond Rogue, just because Rogue is pretty favored, I would say, in some of these Highlander matchups. Like, you just saw Malira win with the Galakrond Rogue versus a Highlander Mage. So this just feels like the most natural choice that Valeera Light could have made in this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Highlander Hunter is favored against Mage, so I definitely do agree with that, switching over to the Rogue deck. But, you know, even if she picks up the win here with the Rogue, it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle, I think, going into Game 3. So I think that's kind of her out here, is to try to pick up a win with this Rogue and then hope that maybe things go her way, maybe the draws pan out a little bit later, but we'll see. Maybe, you know, Malira is going to be trying on her end as well to just take down this game and the match here and now with this Hunter deck. And the starting hand for Hunter is pretty good too, I'd say.
It is really good. You just have such a beautiful curve. And with the Zixer in hand so early, you can just go ahead and put that on the field and just get your Zixer primes ready to go. But you also have Stormhammer. There's so many options. But I like just going for the clear and trying to take control of the board. And also saying, like, Valeera Light, if you don't have an answer or a good answer or something to put on the board here, then, like, I get to take control of the pace from you.
Yeah, absolutely. And using that weapon to clear off a minion taking damage going into turn 3 against Rogue, this now means that Valeera Light cannot play this Seal Fate. There's nothing that's not... I mean, I guess the option to Seal Fate her own face, but that's probably never going to happen.
No, I don't think so. That would just be a flex. It would be a hard flex if I've ever seen one. But can we also talk about the differences in Valeera Light's Rogue list versus Malira? So Malira, you already mentioned, and we got a chance to see, was running the secret package, but Valeera is really just going pretty hard into the stealth package, or just like the more classic Galakrond Rogue. Like, we don't have Shadow Jeweler Hanar in this lineup for Valeera Light.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, mentioning the deck list too, it is really interesting. It does go pretty heavy on the secrets, and we see one of these questing adventures that there's 2 copies in the deck, but this actually does top out at Galakrond at 7 mana. So it looks very early game. It's very low cost. And I think that really just, again, plays into these questing adventures and the Edwin, you know, really just being able to play out multiple cards per turn. It's going to make the Togwaggle, I think, a little bit interesting, because it makes me wonder if playing out the Tog later and taking Wand is actually going to be good or not. With such a low curve, you're probably not going to want to take Wand and draw low-cost cards then make them 0. Like, they're probably going to be low-costed enough. So, and we do see the Tog in hand, and that's why I'm really bringing that up here too, because I want to see if there's actually going to be a different choice than Wand here.
I think it's going to come down to the position that Valeera Light is in when the Togwaggle is right. Like, especially if you're looking at maybe trying to find that last little bit of damage or last little bit of board control, you still might want to go for the Wand in order to secure that victory for yourself. But at the same time, I think you're right that Valeera Light might find more value from picking another option from the High Spear and Togwaggle. I'm almost thinking, like, just get a bunch of legendaries to see what you roll. That might be fun.
Yeah. And this was really interesting here from Malira, and it gave Valeera Light some information. This discovered Rot Nest just came down, and its Battlecry did not trigger, which means these 3 cards in hand, none of those are dragons. So this is the only dragon now. There's not really an option for Valeera Light to clear it at the moment. So maybe a little bit more value going to come out of the Stormhammer, but you know, Valeera Light has to be considering that there are no dragons in hand now. But I like just playing on curve here, going for the taunt, getting that invoke, hoping in a couple turns to get that Tog that we keep talking about down. Maybe we see some Kronks next turn, but I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure about to start coming out from Melira here.
Well, especially if you take a look at the Divine Shield to be able to clear off that shield of Galakron, no problem. And you mentioned no dragons, but there is one of the dragons that's a part of this package for Melira. And now this is a little awkward, actually. You just play out the questing adventure here, I think, with all of these faceless lackeys, because you drew the Galakron.
Yeah. Picking up a Goblin Lackey, though, that could be really nice. She might want to actually go in on that and make some trades here. Gonna see... Okay. This feels so awkward. It's a matter of how she wants to make these trades, how much damage. Like, she's gonna have to trade in with her face, I think, as well. If she goes in on the 2-3 pushing in, but gonna go with taking less damage to face, it looks like.
I respect that play. It does leave this Rotnest Drake alive on board, and it's turn 7. Dino Tamer Brawn comes down without any hesitation there.
Yeah, this is a lot of damage going through the face.
Wow.
This is... And we're going to see this Transmogifier's effect here come through. Changes Eviscerate to a Bandersmosh. Okay.
Ooh, I think you really would have wanted the Eviscerate there.
Probably.
Look at all of that health. Like, those are all multiples of 4. That's super unfortunate.
And the rest of the hand just so clunky here. I mean, I talked about this deck tops out at this Galakron. Like, there's a couple 6s and a 7, and that's the top end, and she has it all in her hand here. So not really able to get out that early start or combo stuff like I think the deck really wants to do. And with this Galakron now, the cards drawn off of it are 1. So even if she plays it out now, she can't play anything along with it. And getting the 5 armor now, I mean, there's just way more damage on board than that gives her, so she's dead anyways.
Yeah, I'm trying to calculate an out, and I don't see one.
No.
Yeah, I think Melira Light has also seen what we see in the caster vision, and Melira takes this first series 2-0 over Melira Light. But we mentioned that point system, Dawn, so when we think about Melira Light moving forward, there's more weeks to play for Supergirl Gamer Pro, and Melira Light is walking home with 15 points anyway, just for participating in today's bracket.
Absolutely. And I believe she already had some points from previous. Is that correct?
Yeah, she does. So she already had 50 points coming into today's bracket from a great first performance in week 1. So that's an additional 15 points getting added to that total to bring that up to 65. Melira Light right now is still within the top 8 and still fighting for a spot at the Grand Championships in San Diego, California.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is one thing that I absolutely love about this kind of cumulative point system. You know, it's a little less punishing if you do have a rough week or a rough match like this one. You know, you create this lineup and maybe against the rest of the field, it would have been great. But, you know, she did end up getting paired against a lineup that was, pretty dominant, I'd say, over the decks that she brought. So, a little bit of a rough week there for her, but it's not over. She still has a lot of weeks to go. And like you mentioned, she's already built up a decent amount of points so far. So still not out.
Not out, but we're out for just a moment. We're going to be going to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll bring you the next round of the Supergirl Gamer Pro Hearthstone.
No one knows where it comes from. Why some have it and some don't. It's the fighting spirit. It consumes fear and weakness. It stands ready to fight whatever shape the battle tanks. Because as long as there are battles, there will always be Marines.
I never thought I'd feel this way.
No, don't hold on to me.
It's all worth it.
Ladies, Chris.
I hear that's really bad for you.
What? No, this is about finding true love.
No, I mean the screen.
Oh, no, we're all good there. These Zenny lenses, they block the blue light.
I mean, that's still really bad for you.
This is amazing. Please go away.
Chelsea.
Oh, no, don't pick her. Oh.
So I'm gonna hold on promoting you this quarter. Cool?
Drop the taco. Get in the car. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you? Wait, what? The handling, it's good, right? No compromise there. Nope.
Watch this.
Brake. Rear automatic braking. So if this Nissan Sentra isn't going to compromise, why should you? You're right. Atta girl.
The all-new Nissan Sentra with more standard safety features than any other car in its class.
For a long time, we had to prove ourselves. But we always knew what we were capable of. We knew when the time came, we would be ready for anything. Our numbers keep rising. And so do we.
If you're gonna cut me down, better do it quickly now. You can cut me down, but I won't stay for long. I'll grow back again. Oh yeah, my roots are strong. My roots are strong. Say the word, say the word. Say the word, goodbye. Say the word and we can run around the earth and around the sun. Say the word and we can stay together, not that better place. And I know you're healing 'cause I know the feeling. The streets stop breathing. I don't wanna let you. Say the word, say the word.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Supergirl Gamer Pro. It is Hearthstone for this evening. My name is Rosemary, joined by Dawn, and we already saw an incredible series for our first round of the bracket, and we're about to move into the next one. But before we do that, I just want to thank our sponsors again, because without them, none of this would even be possible. So thank you so much to Zenny Gaming, to Nissan, to the U.S. Air Force, GameStop, and the Marines. The United States Marine Corps is dedicated to safeguarding our American way of life and fights against any opposing force that threatens our freedoms. Marines are trained to win all battles within themselves, for our nation, and on behalf of our communities. Learn more at marines.com. But thank you so much to all of our sponsors, because the thing about the Supergirl Gamer Pro mission that I really love, Dawn, is that it supports women in gaming, like ourselves, like our competitors, and in so many different facets. It's been really amazing to have so many women featured on our streams, and I don't know, I just love being able to have a platform for these women to compete.
Oh, absolutely. And not only that is I feel like the scene, especially in Hearthstone, That's really, I haven't quite broadened my game spectrum yet outside of much Hearthstone, but we have been really seeing a rise in women playing Hearthstone over the last couple of years. And, we were talking about how many of these names we don't recognize even. So that's fantastic. I feel like, it's amazing to see more and more women jumping in, competing, and being given the chance to do that with opportunities like this. And speaking of names we either do or do not recognize, it looks like our next match is going to be Edelweiss versus Grumpy Kitten. And anybody that has tuned in the last couple of weeks, you definitely should recognize Edelweiss. And looks like we are jumping in Grumpy Kitten here with a Galakrond Zulak, potentially, or just Galakrond Warlock, and Edelweiss on Demon Hunter. What is going on with these decks?
Let's talk about the Demon Hunter, because Demon Hunter is probably the archetype that I would say got hit the hardest when it came down to the nerfs that happened just a couple weeks ago. Yet somehow, some way, Dawn, this deck has survived the nerfs and has been seen not only in the most recent Hearthstone Masters Tour, but it's also being seen today by Edelweiss.
And you talked about the nerfed cards as well. Well, Edelweiss is still running Kayn, still running Metamorphosis, and still running one copy of Warglaives of Azzinoth. All three got nerfed. Still running them. They're still good. I'm curious to see how this does. But what? I'm this Warlock. I'm just like, I can't even get over this. And
a quick update for everybody that's watching, because as I'm sure you have seen, it's particularly because Edelweiss is running a lineup of Murloc Paladin, an Aggro Hunter, and a Tempo Demon Hunter. It's aggro. So Edelweiss and Grumpy Kitten are actually on game 3 right now, and this is the deciding game to see who moves on to the semifinals.
yes, and absolutely. And, we even saw with that first match, and we've seen tonight, these games are just, it's like the complete opposite of week 1. These games have just been moving at breakneck pace. So yes, we did jump in here to game 3. So this is for that chance to move on out of our top 8 and move into the top 4. So far, this board has been looking pretty good for Edelweiss. I mean, she's gotten on board, she's stayed on board, which Demon Hunter wants to do. They want to be, on board hitting with these minions. Slightly clunkiness, I'd say, a little bit of clunky stuff from Grumpy Kitten. But if Grumpy Kitten is able to stabilize, then the game might pan out a little bit differently.
Yeah, let's talk about Grumpy Kitten's deck, because you had some head-scratching questions about why are we seeing a Warlock? Warlock has not been in the meta for some time now. And when you take a look at what's being run right now, you've got Evil Cable Rat, Evil Genius, you've got some Twisted Knowledge in here, Devoted Maniacs. It's Galakrond Warlock through and through. But that surprises me just a little bit, because the Galakrond Warlock, I think it's going to struggle against these more hyper-offensive deck lists coming out from Edelweiss, just because it's pretty top-heavy. When you take a look at the fact that it tops out at Zeraku the Warped, and you also have a bunch of other cards that are kind of 5 to 8, I think that you've got to get on board fast against a deck list like this Tempo Demon Hunter.
Yeah, absolutely. And any deck that really wants to go fast, it really just works already. It helps the Warlock work against itself, let's say that, because the Warlock hero power is already doing damage to the Warlock's face, and then aggro decks also do a bunch of damage to the Warlock's face. So lots of damage going to the face for the Warlock. But yeah, really interesting list, like you mentioned. And I just also want to talk about that Infectious Sporling.
Yeah.
Amazing. I've wanted to see that card played. It's such a cool card, and I love it, and I wanted to see it played. This, I'm almost wondering, though, if this deck is just not going to have enough to, like you said, compete against the speed of this Demon Hunter. And with Edelweiss still running some of these tools, like we mentioned, and seeing some of these in the hand, like Metamorphosis, that is extra damage that Edelweiss can just push to face, and it's something that I don't know if Grumpy Kitten's going to be able to compete with at this point.
Yeah, like, look at the decision to go ahead and push the Beaming Sidekick damage to face. There was an option there where Edelweiss could have said, let me clear off one of these lackeys, let me do some damage to the other Beaming Sidekick that Grumpy Kitten has. But no, she just decided, I'm in a good enough position based on what I have in my hand with the Skull of Gul'dan, the Metamorphosis, that I can just push this damage to face and pressure Grumpy Kitten into an awkward position. Grumpy Kitten has been playing a fairly slower paced game than what Edelweiss has been doing. And I think having to use this Devoted Maniac to be able to just clear does put Grumpy Kitten into a better position. But what do you follow up with after that? I think you have to Sacrificial Pact here.
Yeah, I agree. There's not really much heal or taunts, and we've already kind of seen some of them being used. So, yeah, I agree. I think you kind of have to go in on that little bit of healing here and just try to get something and hope that you can fight back. But yeah, Edelweiss just knowing that there's not a lot of that stuff in the deck, and she can, like you mentioned, just push that one extra little bit of damage. And she was sitting at such a high health total that she's just pushing, right? She's so far ahead in this game. She's got this high health, and she can see the deck list. So yeah, I really like the decisions that Edelweiss has been making to just push this damage face and say, all right, now you have to deal with it. How are you going to do that?
Well, this is one way. The Grumpy Kitten is at least able to use this worm to be able to clear off some of the damage on board. But at 6, with the Metamorphosis in hand as well, you can attack and then you can use that Metamorphosis for extra damage. And I think Edelweiss has this, if I did my math correctly.
I believe so. And I do want to mention, look at the Infectious Sporling. It's out on the board. It's exciting.
You see it played.
It's a little bit too late, but man, I love this card. It's so cool.
Oh, I forgot about the nerf. I actually forgot about the nerf because I didn't expect Tempo Demon Hunter to get run given all the nerfs that came through. But Metamorphosis only does 4 damage now, not 5. That's the nerf that came through. But healing. Grumpy Kitten doesn't have any healing right now.
Nope. No taunt. Which, again, the taunt would only stop in attack and not this second trigger of the Metamorphosis. I don't know. I don't think there's any way, even using like the Evil Genius to try to get a lackey. I mean, what are you looking for at that point? There's no spells, right? I guess that would be the only out, would be to play the Evil Genius into the lackey to discover another heal with Sack Pack. Like it would have to be those specifically.
Yeah, it was such a specific ordering that had to happen to keep Grumpy Kitten in that game. But Edelweiss takes it, and just as a reminder, Edelweiss is already sitting at 125 points. Getting into the top 4 guarantees her even more. It guarantees her an additional 50 on top of the 125 that she already has. So that is a great place to be in if you're looking at trying to get to the grand finals in California, October 3rd to 4th. But because that series was so fast, Dawn, we have a treat for everybody at home that is tuning in and watching. And that treat is that we have another match that we're going to be going into for round 2 top 8 of the Supergirl Gamer Pro Week 3 bracket. So I'm super excited about getting into that one, and that next match is going to be Revy versus Linthesis. We got a chance to see Linthesis on stream last week, but both women are bringing pretty similar deck lineups if I've taken a look at them. Why don't you go ahead and let everybody know what's in store for this next match?
Yeah, absolutely. So Linthesis bringing a lineup of Warrior, Hunter, and Paladin, and Revy bringing Warlock, Hunter, and Paladin. And the deck differences or lineup differences with the Warrior and the Warlock, those are the two that have been banned. So we're going to see some Hunter and Paladin and maybe some mirrors. I'm looking here to see. This is, I love this game. I love these decks and these choices. This is so,
I do too.
It's just amazing.
Well, there is one big difference though. I actually think Revy is set up a little bit better for the mirror match if it comes down to Murloc Paladin versus Murloc Paladin, because Revy has a consecration, decided to take out a Horde Pillager for that consecrate, and that is huge when you take a look at that lineup and the matchup.
Yeah. So for Revy, right? Revy has the Horde Pillager and 1 consecration, and Linthesis has 2 Horde Pillagers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is going to be really, really interesting. Also, Revy only playing 1 True Silver champion. So I guess the 2 Horde Pillagers kind of going in on bringing those weapons, but to me, I'm looking at that thinking, that is a lot of weapon. Like double True Silver, then the double Angling Rod and double Pillager to get those weapons back. But that's a lot of weapon charges for Linthesis, and I don't know. I feel like if that matchup comes up, Revy is probably favored. I feel like
maybe just a little bit. So like I that's why I think that Revy is set up just a little bit better for the mirror match, because less weapon draw, and also that consecrate. So I think that's our consecration. I just think that those techs in the deck are just really, really strong for an aggro versus aggro matchup. There's also a couple differences, though, about the Highlander Hunters that we're going to see from both Linthesis and Revy. And I want to talk about those just a little bit, but we're not seeing the mirror match right now. Linthesis is going for the Highlander Hunter, and Revy kicking it off with that Murloc Paladin.
Yeah, absolutely. So looks like Revy able to get out on board early with these Murlocs, and I feel like as Murloc Paladin, that's definitely what you want to be doing. And a lot of kind of clunkiness going on the opposite side there.
So here's the differences. Even though we're not seeing the mirror match come through, Linthesis does have a copy of Nagrand Slam, which you can see is already in hand. And where I feel like that is kind of a big difference maker is you also have like the Frizz Kindle Roost package with the Evasive Feywing and the Rottennest Drake, and like a pretty high value coming in from the dragons. But we don't see that same package in Revy's deck list for the Highlander Hunter. But the Nagrand Slam is kind of what I'm looking at, is like awkward, clunky. At least you can play Frizz next turn.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I am curious to see how long this game goes. I feel like the longer it goes, the more favorable it's going to be for Linthesis. And, I mean, already we kind of only see a few cards in hand for Revy. Although both Toxfins now, that definitely could help.
Ooh, Toxfins will definitely be able to help with some of these bigger minions that are coming online for Linthesis. You've got the Varanus, the Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, Dynatamer Brand specifically, but we see one of these Toxfins get used early just to clear out the Frizz. But here's the Felfin Navigator. And it just puts on so much pressure. But where I feel like Revy might start to struggle is where you mentioned, Dawn, that as we get further into this game, mana gets more and more concentrated. Linthesis has a bit of a leg up because Revy's running out of resources.
Yeah, and I feel like I've started to see this a lot where people are bringing Murloc Paladin to tournaments, I mean, mainly to target this exact matchup that we see on screen. But the problem is that a lot of the time, the Murloc Paladin just ends up running out of steam and can't quite get there. And there's not really a lot of draw in the deck to help that out either. And, I mean, really, the only draw is just a couple copies of Hand of Adal.
Which we
That's
can
it.
see right now is not in hand.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, that does mean that Revy needs to maybe just like not play any minions here and just tap, I would say. That might be just safe to just conserve some resources. But there's also kind of the line of thought that you have the Tidecaller, and if you're going to pull more Murlocs next turn, then especially if you can pull like a buff Murloc, then it might be good to just play the Tidecaller now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Ooh, but the Toxfin, that's the tricky one. Do you play out the Toxfin or do you wait? And I think you wait.
I agree. I think you wait on it. You have some other trades if you're really wanting to make the trades on board, but the thing is, if looking at the board and the mana available for next turn, only 5 mana going into turn 6, can't really do a lot. And I mean, of course, we see also that the hand is pretty heavy, so not a lot coming down here. But oh yeah, this Toxfin now that had the other Toxfin put on it, that's both poisonous now gone before even getting into turn 7 against the Hunter.
But do you need it? Because that top deck comes in so big here, where you already have 9 damage presented on board. Felfin Navigator is going to add an additional 3. So you might not even need it here, even going into turn 7, because look at how much damage Revy is pushing to face. You are just a couple damage away. That is not very much health.
Yeah, absolutely. And now this does pressure Linthesis to not do the Bran, because got to try to protect your face, but yeah, there's actually just enough damage on board that Revy is able to take that first game. And I think this is definitely the way that the matchup, is meant to be played. I think from the Paladin side, like that's exactly what they're looking for to happen, is to queue into this exact matchup and beat the Hunter. That's why people are bringing the Murloc Paladin. So now, going into that, though, again, we talked about Warlock and Warrior being banned on each side. So now Revy has to go into her Highlander Hunter, which now makes me feel like Linthesis is probably going to switch over and play her Murloc Paladin. And if she can grab a win there, then we'll head into a Highlander Hunter mirror match after that.
Yeah, and that's where those minute differences start to really matter. It was great that Linthesis was able to get the Frizz Kindleroost online so early, but the follow-up wasn't totally there. Actually, though, take a look at this, Dawn. We have a mirror match on our hands already. There is no Murloc Paladin coming out from Linthesis.
Yeah, I'm curious about this. Maybe she just decided, let's get this mirror match over with. Yeah. And then if I win this, then hopefully I'm golden with that Murloc Paladin. Maybe she feels a little bit uneasy after the first game and says, this Hunter can win, and she just wants to bring it back. But I do like this hand. This hand starting, she's got this Desert Spear, she's got the Zephrys, she's got some Rush, she's got this Frizz. Like, it's looking pretty good. But Revy's hand is also looking pretty good, too.
Yeah, at turn 3, you could play the Desert Spear, you could play the Zixor, quite a few options, but I like the Desert Spear here because as Linthesis used the Desert Spear as an answer to the Fairy Dragon, this is a great answer to the Battle Mage. So now, kind of back to square zero, where Linthesis used the coin already, can't just coin out Frizz Kindle Roost here. Has to go for either really the Diving Griffin or the Scale Rider if you don't want to totally float a mana.
Yeah, and the awkward thing about the Scale Rider is there's no dragon in hand, so it would just be a tempo Scale Rider too, which, I mean, maybe that's the play. You just still go for it anyways. I mean...
But if you're talking about tempo, then is the Scale Rider better or is the Zephrys better? Because at least Zephrys is going to give you something.
I mean, but at this point, with only 1 mana remaining, what does Zephrys even find you? It feels a little bit awkward. I think she's going to get better use out of saving the Zephrys. I kind of just like this tempo Scale Rider here. I kind of agree with this line of play.
I do too, because it forces Revi to start expending clearing resources that you would otherwise love to have for some of these bigger threats that come into hand. Like, we can already see that there's a Tiamat getting pressured by Linthesis. You also know that there's Dino Tamer Baran and Dragon Queen Alexstrasza and Varanus that are going to be in this deck list as well. So, lots of great options, but I feel like Linthesis right now has a very clear path of play, which is, well, I haven't really used any dragons yet, so Frizz Kindle Roost is going to get maximum value here. And Revi, I think, instead of using the Diving Griffin, can just use the Zixor to clear up the Scale Rider really easy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, leave something on board as well. And with having the Zixor already in hand, now that Diving Griffin can come down after the Prime is put into the deck and draw the Prime, which is...
Yeah.
It really, really is going to help later game. So I do like that choice to just play out that Zixor there. And yeah, this Frizz just coming down, going to add a ton of value to the deck and maybe make some of these coming turns a little bit difficult for Revi.
Yeah, this looks like a great Diving Griffin turn. But it also, there's a line of play for the Rotnest Drake, I think, as well, where I think it's obviously just a little bit, like, the Rotnest Drake is very valuable, but the Diving Griffin, like you said, would be able to draw the Zixor Prime and is a very clean clear to the Frizz.
Yeah, and looking at the deck list, Revi actually is also playing Faceless Corruptor, so there is the possibility that the Diving Griffin does pull, like, it would be a 50-50 right now for the Faceless or the Zixor Prime, but does go. I really like the order that Revi played those in. This kind of contests and makes it a little bit more awkward if Linthesis has her own Rotnest Drake by leaving a 1/1 on the board. Although Linthesis could just now, use her own Spear to clear the 1/1 and then play Rotnest, but it does kind of force her still to use up that last charge of the weapon.
Last charge of the weapon. Diving Griffin as well should be able to pick up the clear onto the Rotnest Drake. Ordering matters just a little bit here, but this is the proper ordering. Go ahead and use the Desert Spear to clear off the 1/1, and then you have your Locust just to be able to clear off the Rotnest Drake. Even across the board right now, no player at the moment really able to develop a board, but we're starting to get into those swing turns when we're getting up to 6, 7, 8 mana.
Yeah, absolutely. And their hands are somewhat similar. It's a little bit interesting. I'm not sure here. I feel like you could go a lot of different directions if you're Revi with this turn. I mean, you could just go for the big 5/5 body and draw a card. You do float a mana, but maybe that's fine. And there wasn't a Rotnest from Linthesis the last turn, so maybe that's okay. Speaking of Rotnest,
Good
Another
choice pickup
copy.
here. But Gezera also seems like a strong choice. But I think, like, again, these swing turns, this clear is going to be so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even just 6 damage coming from a Hunter feels like a huge threat, right? Because Hunter just puts out so much damage. And we see another rot nest. All the rot nests.
You're never going to see this coming either.
No. And I mean, from both sides. Although there could be the argument that they saw a rot nest from their discover, so they could question, what if they discovered one? But they're probably not. It's so hard to play
mind
around
games.
discovered things. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, now the option is there because the Primordial Explorer on board, like Revi just kind of consistently has answers, and vice versa, to what Linthesis has. But there's the Zixor Prime. It was a 50-50 for Revi, whether it was going to be the Zixor Prime or the Faceless Corruptor, but the 50-50 goes in the way of the Zixor.
Yeah, which is going to be fantastic for her next turn. And unfortunately for Linthesis, there's no other dragon in hand to activate this rot nest. But, I mean, using the rot nest on a 2-2, not really great. So maybe she ends up just going in on the Zixor to make the trade.
But I mean, it gets you the opportunity to get your own Zixor Prime in the deck. But Animal Companion's not bad too. Like, if you get Huffer, then that's lots of damage. But I think that Misha's not bad either. You're gonna get a nice body on board no matter what.
Yeah, I like this here. Choosing not to attack with the weapon.
Oh, but does that get punished now because of the Swamp Ooze?
I mean, yeah. But now there's the decision of playing out the ooze or going for the board clear and leaving 2 4/4s on board. Well, 2 4/4s and a 4/2, which also just seems like a huge swing.
Yeah, that does seem like a big risk, doesn't it? But you have the Rot Nest Drake, so it clears off 1, and then I think you have to ooze here. Like, it's goodbye, Stormhammer.
Yeah, this is just so good. Oh, even hits the top.
The 50-50s are going in the way of Revi right now.
And now here's still no dragon to activate the Rot Nest for Linthesis. Kind of forcing... Ooh, this is interesting, though. Enough mana. If Linthesis goes in on Rush Wind Fury, but then uses the Og Merchant, she can actually clear the board and still keep this.
Oh my.
Oh, chooses to go for the Divine Shield. Okay, wanting to get the Prime in the deck, which definitely understandable.
Mm-hmm. Now, the question is, do you use Zixor Prime here? It's a good turn for it.
It's a little awkward, though, because I'm going to have to trade 2 in. It might... I mean, maybe it's fine. It might also be okay to go in on the Zephyrus. But I'm going to go for the Prime and try to get some stuff sticking on board.
Not a bad turn at all. And this now looks like a decent Rot Nest Drake turn from Linthesis. It's been just so call and answer, call and response. Even the Zephyrus just like as a good answer to pick up something.
Yeah, and I think she has to go for it, though, because the problem is there's still no dragon in hand to activate the Rot Nest.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And it's the... You know, it's almost... I wonder if she's deciding at this point, or if she's been thinking over these last couple turns that maybe taking the Rot Nest was the wrong choice, but it's so hard to say that because it looked so good when
Yeah.
that Discover popped up, right?
You can never call what's going to happen in
Yeah.
like 5. You obviously try to in the game of Hearthstone, but like after 5 turns, you never know what's going to happen, really.
Yeah.
But these are the swing turns coming through. Linthesis is at 11 health right now. Dino Tamer Braun looks pretty good though, as a potential to be able to clear, but then Grand Slam as well.
Yeah.
Now that we're sitting at 10 mana, you may as well just go ahead and let it rip.
And it looks so good too. And I love playing it out first, seeing where these things hit, because there's the potential to trade in if you have to with the Zephrys. I feel like that was great. That was absolutely amazing in what she wanted.
Mm-hmm. And now look at the fact that you have 2, 3, 5 bodies on board, 3 attack minions on board. Is that you could Zephrys here, but you don't pick up the clear on all 3 minions with the Flame Strike.
No. And I wonder if it would even have to offer a Twisting Nether if she goes for it. Oh, which would use her whole turn and then just pass that initiative right back over to Linthesis, who now has picked up the Dino Tamer brand. So I don't feel like the Zephyrus is gonna do it here for Revy. Yeah, I like this here. She might go in and trade. I'm wondering if she's gonna go for the Dragonbane hero power, try to kill these off. I was wondering if it was that or just go in on the Bone Wraith and get the taunt out.
Oh, just go face.
Yeah, I mean, that Dragonbane said, here's some more 5 to face. Yeah, let's push a lot of damage, but... Whew.
But the Dino Tamer brand, that is a 14 damage plus the hero power. That's 16. It's still not quite enough.
It's not. Yeah, going for it. It's not enough.
I was gonna say, is there something that you could do with the Og Merchant there or something? But no, that's unfortunately you can't just deal out that damage. And when you're sitting at 2, that's just hero power away from sealing the deal. But it's been fast-paced games tonight, Dawn.
Yeah,
this is
really
far
fast.
different than what we saw from weeks 1 and 2, where it was very control-oriented. We are seeing a lot more of these aggressive decks, or more of these, I would say, consistent decks come through, like the Highlander Hunter, like the Murloc Paladin, and even the Tempo Demon Hunter. It's been super, super exciting to see these matches come through.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a lot of fast-paced stuff, and it's not over yet. We're still gonna have what this was a kind of special add-in from the top 8. So we still have some top 4 and finals left.
Mhm.
So we will be going to a quick break, but after that, we're going to be heading right back in with Edelweiss versus Malira, both of whom we've seen on stream tonight. So I'm excited to see that and look forward to the action right after this quick break.
So I'm gonna hold on promoting you this quarter. Cool?
Drop the taco. Get in the car. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you? Wait, what? The handling. It's good, right? No compromise there. Nope.
Watch this.
Rear automatic braking. So if this Nissan Sentra isn't going to compromise, why should you? You're right. Atta girl.
The all-new Nissan Sentra, with more standard safety features than any other car in its class.
It's not just the ships, the armor, or the aircraft. It's something more. It's the will to fight and determination to win, found inside each and every Marine that answers a nation's call. Battles won.
You can trade all the games, accessories, consoles, and tech you don't use anymore to get cash or store credit at GameStop. Check out the Trade Center on the GameStop app, visit GameStop.com/trade, or talk to a guest advisor at your local GameStop store to see how much your trades are worth.
I never thought I'd feel this way.
No, don't hold on to me.
It's all worth it.
Ladies, Chris.
I hear that's really bad for you.
What? No, this is about finding true love.
No, I mean the screen.
Oh, no, we're all good there. These Zenny lenses, they block the blue light.
I mean, that's still really bad for you.
This is amazing. Please go away.
Chelsea.
Oh, no, don't pick her. Oh.
Join the army of the shadow. Join the army of the shadows. Going harder. We are more than numbers. Standing in their way. Standing in a glass bowl at the end of a black hole. Cold loves beneath the ground. All done by my own hand. I allow my feelings to become sin. If you're gonna cut me down, better do it quickly now. You can cut me down, but I won't stay for long. I'll grow back again. Oh yeah, my roots are strong. My roots are strong. Say the word, say the word. Say the word and run. Say the word and we can run around the earth and around the sun. Say the word and we can say together found that better place. And I know you're healing 'cause I know the feeling. The streets stop breathing. I don't wanna let
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Supergirl Gamer Pro. My name is Rosemary, joined by Dawn, and it's week 3 already, and we've already seen the end of 3 incredible matches. 1 from our round of 16, 2 from our round of 8, but all of this action wouldn't be possible without our incredible sponsors. Thank you so much to Zenny Gaming, the US Air Force, the US Marines, and Nissan, but also GameStop. Now, let's talk about GameStop just a little bit. I know I go to GameStop for all of my game pickups when I get a chance to play video games. And as the world's largest video game retailer with the best selection of games, consoles, and accessories, I feel like that's just a no-brainer. The retail is also proud to offer esports fans a wide variety of high-performance accessories, specifically for consoles and PC to meet the needs of competitive gamers. But it's not just that. GameStop doesn't stop there for the needs of competitive gamers. You can also watch their special pro training series of videos hosted by some of the top names across the competitive gaming world. These videos offer in-depth tips and insights into all types of games, from Overwatch to Madden and all of the top shooters, looters, and battle royales in between. So thanks so much to GameStop for their contribution, not only as a sponsor for the Supergirl Gamer Pro, but also just with all those training videos. I learn a lot when I get a chance to watch those.
Yes, and speaking of learning a lot from watching, we will be getting to watch a sweet match next up between, let me get this correct because I did misspeak before the break, Nysil versus Melira. And hopefully we can get the bracket popped up really quickly here and kind of look at how our matchups have panned out. Nysil versus Melira is what we're going to be watching up next. And on the other side of the bracket, in our top 4, Edelweiss versus Revi. Really interesting. We've talked about all of the aggro decks that we've kind of seen tonight, but looking at these deck lists, a little bit less aggro. We actually have for Nysil a Rogue Warrior Hunter lineup in which the Hunter has been banned, so we'll get to see some Warrior play, and Melira with Rogue, Hunter, and Druid, and that Rogue being banned, so we're also going to get to see some Druid being played. I'm pretty kind of excited about this. I want to see how this pans out.
So much variety in all of the deck lists and lineups that we've had a chance to see tonight, but also in the matchups themselves. You already mentioned, we'll get a chance to see a little bit of Druid action, a little bit of Warrior action, the first of the night. It's going to be really fun. But, you know, Supergirl Gamer Pro is all about providing women in gaming fantastic experiences, and we would be super remiss if we didn't give Nysil the shout out that she deserves. As one of the commentators for Hearthstone Esports Gold Club World Cup, we are so proud of you, and we are so excited to see you in action, not only in the matchup tonight, but also on that amazing stage. So congratulations to you, Nysil. It's really, really, really incredible to see so many just role models in the community. I look up to a lot of the commentators that are at that stage for the Hearthstone esports scene, and it's just great to have a chance to also see you in action tonight. So I'm looking forward to this matchup, especially because when we saw Melira on broadcast, that was a really, really great set coming out from Melira. So who's to say who's going to take this next one?
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully in just a moment here, we'll be jumping into that first game. Melira with the Highlander Hunter and the Druid going to be playing against Nysil's what looks to be kind of this interesting take that we've kind of been seeing pop up on the kind of Bomb Warrior with the Galakrond at the top end. And we've even seen that last week as well here on the Supergirl Gamer Pro series with, you know, kind of that top end of this Galakrond, the hero power gives the player a bit more damage to kind of try to push through and close out the game. And so from Nysil, this Rogue and Warrior, I'm pretty interested to see this. These feel a little bit, again, the Warrior feels a little bit more control-y, and I'm curious to see how it pans out against the Druid, because I feel like the Druid is the one that might struggle more against the Bomb Warrior, even though bombs are, I would say, generally thought to do well against Highlander decks like the Highlander Hunter on Melira's side. But I feel like the bombs just don't do enough against all of the aggression that can come out from Hunter. So we'll find out. We're going to jump into the first game and take a look and see how this is going to pan out.
Well, Nysil starting out with the Bomb Warrior, or the some archetype of the Bomb Warrior, but Melira is starting out with the Druid and off to a very, very fast start, especially being able to use that Breath of Dreams gets you a lot of mana, and that's kind of the name of the game when it comes down to the Druid, is ramp, ramp, ramp.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not sure how I feel about this Glowfly Swarm sitting in hand for Melira. I think in some matchups it's pretty good, but I don't feel like it's that great in this matchup. So it might just kind of become a dead card.
No, I think is a lot of what you have to balance in this matchup as a Druid player myself, with the Glowfly Swarm and the Brawl that's on the other side. You have to try to get those brawls out before you go for the big combos. Or you know that you're sacrificing the Glowfly Swarm to get out those brawls or get out those clears from the other side. But this is kind of where the ramp comes through. But Blade Storm, easy clear coming up from Nysil.
Absolutely. And not only the Brawl that you mentioned, but also just a Skipper and a couple of minions can clear those Glowfly Swarms. So, and we see there is already one Skipper in hand for Nysil. So going to be a little bit awkward for Melira to kind of get that balance. But speaking of awkward, a little bit awkward for Nysil. I'm not sure she wants to really do anything else here. Maybe she's debating about just swinging with the weapon here.
Yeah, it at least thins out the deck so that you're drawing out your pirates to maybe combo with the risky skipper. I would say go for it. Go ahead and push that damage and pull out a second risky skipper.
Yeah, it's a good pickup. All right. Well, not quite enough mana for Melira to play out this exotic Mount Seller. So yeah, just gonna go for the Glowfly. Maybe it
sticks.
Yeah, maybe it sticks. Maybe it pulls out some of that removal, like you were saying, and kind of baits that out.
Ooh, I like this a lot, actually. So it's really tempting in this situation to either use the Brawl or use the risky skippers. But because you have both risky skippers in hand and not really too many other low value cards to actually pop that value, I love this Wrench Caliber turn because at the end of the day, 2 Glowflies, not so bad to have to deal with versus the 4 or 5 that a lot of these Glowfly swarms tend to develop. But this exotic Mount Seller is where things get real interesting.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, the play from Nicel, I really liked it as well. There were 6 cards in hand, and only 4 Glowflies came out, so basically saying, hey, there's 2 of those cards are your big minions, and there's only a few minions in the deck, so I think that her going in on that, just, getting a couple small clears and saying, well, I know you're going to kind of have some bigger swing turns coming up, and I'm just going to use those resources after you play those things out, I think was really heads up, like seeing this Brawl come down now.
Yeah.
And there goes the Mount Seller.
There is exactly in the Spell Druid deck that Melira is running, there is exactly 5 minions. You've got 2 Emerald Explorers, 2 Exotic Mount Sellers, and a Ysera Unleashed in the deck. And you're seeing now that actually none of these cards are going to get removed just yet, where you have a second Exotic Mount Seller coming into hand. You also have your... Now, where did this Malygos come from?
From the Emerald Explorer that was discovered, yeah.
So well, at least it wasn't in the deck. So
yeah.
I was gonna say, I was like, wait a minute, did I just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, a little bit earlier in the game, that 6-mana taunt that Emerald Explorer did come out and discover a dragon, and that's where the Malygos came from. But a couple of bombs in the deck here from that weapon, and Nicel just going in on the Blastmaster Boom on an empty board, which seems pretty insane.
Yeah, that seems really, really good. But I like, again, you're going for the Iron Bark plus the Exotic Mount Seller. It kind of forces Nicel into really interesting position of like how to use these boom bots. Also, Bog Beam coming through. Do you Bog Beam Moonfire here and just remove the boom? Crystal Powder also works.
Yeah, I really kind of like just going in on this for a couple of reasons. You're adding more health to the board to make the boom bots even more awkward, as well as the fact that she already saw the Brawl, and there is only the 1 copy of Brawl in the deck. So really she's putting Nicel just in an awkward position to try to remove the board, because there's so much health here that, yeah, these minions are just going to do exactly like we just saw and just soak up all of these bomb hits.
Not just that, but if this board sticks for Melira, you have Soul of the Forest in hand. And that is definitely something that Nacel needs to watch out for, because then this board becomes refreshable, and you don't want that to happen. That's how the Druid finds all of its value with these sticky boards.
Yes. And this is pretty sticky. It's a pretty sticky situation altogether, but Nicel, I mean, there's a Blade Storm in hand, there's some skippers, but it's not quite gonna be enough. I mean, the Armor Smith, maybe you also go in with the That I don't think that's where she wanted that to hit. I think she was hoping for the Mount Seller to try to close it out with like the Blade Storm, but gonna go in on the Horde Pillager now instead, and then she gets the Ankar instead of a copy of the Wrench Caliber. So she ends up having to play another minion to get through the board.
Ooh, well, that's one bomb gone. One bomb left in the deck. And what an expensive turn for Nysil to clear off that wide board from Malira. But that does a couple of things now. It removes the pressure from Soul of the Forest. And what board can Malira develop now?
Yeah, now it's... I feel like just another Glowfly, which she's already played one Glowfly Swarm. So gonna have to be another Glowfly, which at this point with only 5 cards in hand, even if that was an option, not really putting a lot of pressure out. And then the only other thing would be Portals from Ysera Unleashed, but that hasn't even come down yet. So the Ysera would have to come down first and then bring the Portals, and it's just neither of those are there right now.
Yeah, the Ysera is like the big card at the very end that Malira is kind of hoping to hold on to, hold on long enough to be able to use. But Crystal Power coming into hand right now will go ahead and clear out most of this board. Wrath as well, just to be able to king off this Armor Smith and also draw a card. And I like, okay, Overgrowth not bad here because you get the excess mana.
Yeah, I like it here just to get an extra draw. Hopefully draw into Ysera is kind of, I think at this point, you kind of have to hope for it. You've seen a lot of removal from Nysil. But that turn, there wasn't really a lot that happened. And now all of that initiative kind of swung back over for Nysil. Does she just go for Greenskin here? Or just kind of go for the little bit of added value? No, not even worth it.
Taps and passes. I really respect that line of play from Nysil because what are you going to put on board? You don't have any more risky skippers to get the value from the Bomb Wrangler, and you know what is Evil Quartermaster going to do? And especially Greenskin when you're just like, well, I saw Malira use both exotic Mount Sellers, so what comes next?
Yeah. And again, I kind of was mentioning when going over the deck list that I feel like this Bomb Warrior is just so well situated against this Druid that, I mean, it felt like going into this matchup was already kind of going to be an uphill battle for Malira. And yeah, the way that these draws and the removal have panned out has just not been in Malira's favor, but it feels like it's been going pretty well for Nysil. This Galakrond coming into hand, not quite the situation that she wants here, though. I think that wants to be able to push the damage from the hero power, but there's kind of this big old taunt in the way now.
Or just let it rip.
Yeah, I mean, you still draw something and give it a buff. That's a decent one to buff. That's fine.
Yeah.
A lot of bomb potential.
Oh boy, yeah, go ahead and play that out. I mean, I'm just thinking about the next turns. Oh well, okay, here's Ysera, but before Ysera came into hand, I was also looking at like Glowfly Swarm plus Soul of the Forest, but the Blade Storm is such a nice answer to that. And also, if you had the Bomb Wrangler on board, you get so much damage, and with those bombs that are in the deck, so it's just like very interesting. But there goes all of that pressure.
And I wonder how much different this game would be panning out over these next couple of turns if that Horde Pillager had actually brought back the Wrench Caliber instead of this Ankar, because I feel like Nysil would have been pushing a lot harder if it had gotten, if it had pulled back that Wrench Caliber instead of this Ankar that doesn't really do much.
Yeah, there's only
one
I believe
bomb?
one bomb in the
Yeah.
deck. From just the 2 range caliber hits and then one bomb
Yeah.
getting drawn already.
But I like this here. I mean, I still feel like Nysil is just so far ahead in this game that now she's just kind of making the last push and just applying that pressure. We're going to get some portals. There's a bomb.
That's
All right.
the second bomb. Then there's Dormu.
More portals too. Oh, and this animation is going to soak up all of this time.
Yeah, I mean, you hope to... Oh, that's a lot of dragons, though.
Yeah.
That was a lot of portals.
I mean, oh, well, that changed things. I was going to say Nysil could just trade into the little Brightwing on board and then go for a Blade Storm, but now a couple more small dragons coming in, but just all of the... Oh my gosh, all of that fatigue damage, and now that's it.
Yeah, oh wow.
Whoa.
I love Druid so much. It's just so unfortunate that that's how things had to end for the first game. For Melira, anyway. Nysil's probably pretty happy about that outcome because that's a game win for her. But I just think that you're right, Dawn, about just how Nysil was off to such a great, consistent start. And then mid-game, just it felt like Nysil was in the driver's seat for the entirety of the game. Ysera not coming online soon enough meant that Melira just wasn't able to develop the board that she wanted, even after getting the Brawl out and the first Blade Storm and all of these removal tools coming through from the Warrior.
Yeah.
But also all of that armor generation from Nysil was just so much that Melira was going to have to get through.
Yeah. And I mean, just the Bomb Warrior is just, again, so well situated in that matchup that, you know, it kind of was going to require Melira to get some good draws and get some good RNG, and it just kind of didn't pan out that way. So a little bit of an unfortunate way to end that game for Melira, but that does give Nysil that first win, and now she's going to have to take a win with this Rogue. And Melira now, I feel like, in the favorable matchup, because generally Druid does pretty well against Rogue.
This is true. This is very true. I like my Druid Rogue matchup, especially if you're going to get a chance to start out like this. You've got Breath of Dreams so early, which, again, you can see how powerful the ramp really was going to be for Melira if Nysil just didn't have the impressive and consistent start that she had.
Right. And speaking of the ramp, unfortunately, no dragon in hand and did not pull a dragon, so didn't get the ramp there because getting the ramp from having a dragon would have allowed Melira to be on 4 mana here and going into Overgrowth, but instead, you know, going for this now 3-cost Fungal Fortunes after the nerf, but not bad still, though, I'd say. It's still a good-looking hand here for Melira.
I get so baited every time because, like, you just see the Breath of Dreams and you're like, well, you should play it anyway, just because drawing a card is good here. But you obviously wish that you could get the empty mana crystal as well. But for the Fungal Fortunes, that was a great draw. No minions drawn or had to be discarded in the making of that play. But Overgrow here looks really good, and then one of the reasons why this matchup is just so good for the Druid is because Glowfly Swarm plus Soul of the Forest or Power of the Wild, anything that can widen the board and also buff the board is really difficult for the Rogue to handle.
Yep, absolutely. I feel like we had a couple of matchups like that last weekend as well, but yeah, the Rogue just no way to deal with wide boards, so yeah, if Melira can stick a wide board here, then Nysil's going to have a really difficult time dealing with it. And here she is deciding to go in with the attack with the Spy Mistress. I'm a little curious. She's still got coin in her hand, so I'm wondering if she's going to be saving this coin to go into like a turn 6 play, which doesn't seem too bad. Try to start on her swing turns, her big turns a little bit earlier, knowing that Melira could have the big turns like you just mentioned with like glow flies.
I do like that. Kronks works out pretty nicely to hold on to now, just to be able to deal damage to the board instead of drawing the Galakrond. So I do like that the Galakrond came into hand for Nycil now. But here's where things get interesting. I would say there's like almost a little too much damage on board to feel comfortable with going for I guess you still get maybe half of the glow flies that can survive through the damage. And then you get rewarded with a really, really nice turn 6.
I wonder here, does she just use this Moonfire on the Kobold Lackey?
I was thinking about that too.
Yeah. And it also then, if she does that, it shuts off the possibility for Nycil to go Coin Tog, which with that Galakrond being picked up, now it shut out her possibility of the Coin Kronks. So now she's going to be shut out of the Coin Tog as well. And this just makes this turn pretty awkward. A little bit more difficult. The Bone Wraith at least does something, kind of can slow down this damage a little bit, and she's going to be able to get a few trades.
Yeah, but second Glowfly Swarm. Just in case this doesn't go Melira's way, there's always this plan B, which is just Glowfly Swarm number 2. But this is what I mean about like a beautiful turn 6 play. You've got Soul of the Forest here, plus you have Power of the Wild. So,
it's so good.
It's just so good. You get a chance to trade in, and so unfortunately you have to use like quite a bit of your momentum this turn to just be able to clear. But once you clear out, you have the Death Rattle, which is just summon a Treant. It also makes this Kronk's turn really, really awkward, like you mentioned.
Yeah. And Nycil instead just gonna coin out the Galakrond now for 1 card draw. But I think she really wants to get that online so that she can use that Kronks as soon as possible.
Not too many other buffs in hand right now for these Glowflies, which is a good thing for Nycil.
Yeah.
But this Ironbark does pop this exotic Mountseller, but that's not quite what you want to see. So I think the Innervate here is a good thing just to get some more minions on board.
Yep. And this is exactly like what you were talking about earlier, Rosemary, where this getting wide on board against Rogue. And I mean, now I guess there's Kronks, but then again, these Death Rattles, the Mountseller lives, the Porcupine lives.
I think you have
the Porcupine
to.
shoots some stuff, but yeah, I don't see another option. Although the Kronks clearing and then playing that 1 mana Shield of Galakrond that was picked up seems pretty good as well. Like, just try your best to clear and hope that it's enough. There's only 4 cards in hand from Melira, so Nycil probably hoping that there's maybe some minions or something stuck in the hand and that this Mountseller is not going to get a ton more value.
Ooh, oh, I like the Praise Galakrond here too, actually.
Yeah. And the Shoot Lackey coming into hand. I think that's what a lot of the big casters and some of the more prevalent personalities in Hearthstone have kind of dubbed that Kobold Lackey. It is the Shoot Lackey for 2 damage. You're gonna be able to take out one of the Treants.
Yep, Lackey go shooty shoot. Ironbark Owl? Some of these exotic Mountseller pulls have been pretty low rolls, I would say, for Melira.
Although the Mukla is a little bit nice.
That is pretty nice. That is pretty nice. You almost wish you had a second copy of Annihilation just for moments like this.
Yeah.
But
And I wonder here, I do like this Ysera, but I wonder if Melira just goes in on trading that Mount Seller into the Kronks here and just keep control of the board, and then, yeah, I like it.
now what to do? Oh, a second copy of Shield of Galakrond. That's pretty good. You have your shoot lackey as well in hand to be able to clear out the second Treant or the final Treant.
And I'm guessing just go in on the Tog. And do you still take Wand here? You just try to draw some more stuff from your deck?
Yeah.
It does feel slightly bad at this point. Like, what is she really going to be trying to draw from that wand? I guess just a little bit of removal or a little bit of damage just to try to close the game out. But I feel like she's in a really awkward spot here.
Now that Ysera's online, there's just so much random generation.
Yeah.
Ooh, oh, this is good calculation on Melira's part, just to go ahead and use the Glowfly Swarm. There's a rule of thought to just push most of this damage, but I like the clear.
Yeah, I do like it as well. Coming from Melira's perspective, she just saw the Tog come down, which most likely probably means there's a wand in hand, which can draw some more stuff from the deck. So just kind of keeping this board control and kind of waiting the next turn or two, hopefully get those portals online, and just try to keep the game on her side of the board and not even give Nysil the chance to draw into some extra damage and close out the game. I really like that, but that flick kind of coming into hand too late after all the glow flies have come down.
Yeah, but you still have Seal Fates, so you should be able to clear out those pesky little pests. Shadow Step as well onto the Greyheart Sage. I really like that.
Yeah, get that draw going and try to just find more resources. Gonna be a lot of lackeys coming out the next couple turns.
Which is nice when you have those combo cards in hand.
Absolutely. And the lackeys almost feel like all that's left for Nysil, though. She's already got this Galakrond out. She's played the Kronk. She's played the Tog. She's already gotten, one at least? She's played through one of her questing adventures. And really, all of these lackeys are all she has left.
Overflow.
Portals. Here we go.
Oh, right in the nick of time. Okay, a low roll.
Oh, and
one
nope.
portal? No, two portals. Aha, there we go.
Yeah, that's what she's looking for here. She even picks up the Mount Seller here if somehow this board of dragons gets cleared. They just keep coming now.
Oh yeah. My favorite part of this deck is just dragons. Actually doesn't overdraw portals here, which is nice.
Yeah. I feel like the deck it kind of goes that way, right? You draw one, maybe two portals, or you draw them all and overdraw three of them, and it's a pain. Yeah. But
yeah.
And healing up a bunch too as well. Now Melira is back at 25.
Eviscerate can clear off these cute little bookworms.
And really nice use of a Betrayal here. Betrayal, I feel like we don't really get to see a lot of value out of, but definitely got value there.
Wow, this is such a good turn for Nysil. Especially when you just saw 7 portals get used. I don't know. I probably miscounted there, but you get what I mean. There were a lot of portals that got used. That's just a way to really keep yourself in this game. I still think Nysil's gonna struggle, like you mentioned, to push damage on Melira, especially after all of the healing coming in from Overflow. And I think, that's gonna be a problem.
And I really feel like this game is a perfect example of, even with Nysil finding all of those kind of power cards and some great resources throughout the game, I think we're seeing the exact reason why Druid is so favored in this matchup. I mean, every turn, even when it's looked bleak or the rogue's been able to clear, and then the Druid goes, oh, cool, I just drew this. Well, now here's like 50 more things on the board. Now what do you do?
Well, the flick looks pretty good here.
Yeah.
Oh, Edwin's coming in so late, especially when you really want to be able to use these lackeys.
Yeah. And I think she decides, just finding some removal or damage is just probably going to be better at this point.
Yeah, to keep yourself, to hold on through this endless wave of reinforcements. Last Overflow.
And one thing to point out here, too, she did leave a Mount Seller on board for Melira, and Nysil is at 10 health, but there's not a lot of direct damage or damage that can come from hand from Druid, so leaving that 5 attack minion, it is really fine in this matchup. There's not a lot of ways the Druid can do damage out of hand, so I liked that. But, again, these boards just keep coming.
Is there enough removal in hand? Oh, another Ysera?
I mean, like she needs it. I don't think she needs it at this point, but talk about just continuous boards. Yeah, that's... Wow.
Yeah, the question that I wanted to answer is, like, does Nysil have enough time to find an out? And Melira goes ahead and throws out the emote. I think the question is pretty answered here, that with the Emerald Explorer, the taunt, as well from the Skeletal Drake, there's just too much of a wall that Nysil's going to have to get through. Even this Titanic Lackey is not going to be enough between Nysil's face and that 5 damage that Melira has to push to be able to seal the game.
Yeah.
And so I think we move ahead looking at potentially a game 3, but that comes down to the Galakrond Rogue matchup versus the Highlander Hunter, if that's the case.
Yeah, and that's a fairly close to 50-50, I'd say. I think it's a fairly close matchup. But finally, at the bottom of the deck here, the Savage Roar coming out. And, I mean, Nysil really did try. She put out a lot of health in the form of these taunts here that Melira now has to push through. But it's not going to be enough. She can still pretty easily push through here now and complete the game. And tie it up 1-1 to move into this game 3.
Ooh, some spicy stuff coming out of today's matchups. We said we wanted to see the Druid, we said we wanted to see the Warrior, but it comes down to a classic matchup that we've seen actually quite a bit of in today's Supergirl Gamer Pro Hearthstone Week 3, and that's the Galakrond Rogue versus the Highlander Hunter. You said this was going to be a 50-50, but there are some pretty interesting decisions in terms of like the packages that got put into each of these decks. Like when we talk about Highlander Hunter, it's like, do you include the Frizz Kindle Roost or do you not? What about the top end in terms of having the ability to, play something that's maybe a little bit more cost effective, I would say. But it does kind of look like Melira, not only does she have the Phrase Kindle Roost package that we've seen her play before, but not too heavy on the top end either.
Yeah, and talking about the top end, so just a reminder, Nysil's Rogue does top out at that Kronks and the Galakrond, and then at the top end is the Bran, No Sayamat, and Dragon Queen Alexstrasza for the Hunter. So this variant going a little bit more in on the dragons, like you mentioned with Frizz, not running the Grand Slam. So there will be some tools, especially if Melira can pull that Frizz and kind of discount some of those dragons. But I feel like if Nysil can really get out on the board, kind of like she's done, I really think that she can just get these boards kind of spiraling out of control, and it's going to be really difficult for Melira to deal with.
Yeah, that is going to be a tough one. There's a great curve in Nysil's hand. But is this going to be a Dwarven Sharpshooter turn? Yeah, it looks like it. But who to target? I think just...
Yeah. I like this. And then just ping down that now angered Berserker. Get rid of that thing. Get it off the board.
Yeah, because the Dwarven Sharpshooter right now is relatively safe. Unless you praise Galakrond here.
Yeah.
And tap.
Yep, it's going to have to be the weapon there. I mean, depending on the lackey picked up, it could have been, a really clean trade, not having to take any damage. But also looking at the rest of the hand, I mean, Nysil just using the dagger here is perfectly fine. Next turn she can... maybe just drop the lackey and then use the miscreant and generate more lackeys. Maybe top decks into like a spy mistress and then can go in on the Greyheart Sage. But getting on board a little bit with this Desert Spear looks pretty nice for Melira.
Yeah, especially when you take a look at how little health a lot of these less expensive minions are, like lackeys. Hello, Galakrond Rogue. That's going to help a lot.
Absolutely, and Nysil did end up actually top decking that Spy Mistress, like I said. So put that stealth out there, went in with the Miscreant. So now has lackeys, still has the Greyheart for some draw. I mean, her hand seems like it's panning out to be really good, and I'm wondering how this hand is looking for Melira. She does have the draw potential here with the Ingenuity, and she managed to pick up a taunt with that Bone Wraith, so that's not bad.
Not too bad at all. Bone Wraith is definitely going to be a nice asset to have in this matchup. But, oh boy, does Nysil have lots of tools of the trade to work with.
Yes.
Especially to deal with that Frizz. And, yeah.
Oof.
Oh, oof.
A little bit of a low roll there. Not what she's looking for.
Yeah, you don't get the battle cry, so
Yeah.
that's 4-1 easy cleanup with the Desert Spear.
Yeah. Oh,
roll
gonna try again though? All right.
Let's try this again.
Let's do it. Okay.
Oh, that's...
I'm not sure if that's better.
I don't know, actually, if that is better. I'm going to say just a little bit better, because it does have 4 health, so...
I mean, well,
not anymore.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Now Melira
face here.
I think so, and then trade in the 1/1. Yeah. I like this. And yeah, now Melira just kind of setting that board back. It's just kind of it's such a back and forth. I really feel like this has been a really good match, and I feel like this is kind of fairly common. I think this is another reason why this matchup is fairly close to 50-50, is that both decks, like, they can't deal with wide boards, but they're generally pretty good at dealing with 1 or 2 minions at a time. So if the opponent can't go wide and only can put out 1, 2, 3 things, then each of these decks does really well at clearing those 1, 2, or 3 things off the board.
But the question comes in when you don't have an answer anymore. Like, there's limited resources in each of these decks to be able to clear off your opponent's board and take control of it yourself. So we're getting into some of the, like, as we've seen this back and forth come through, the back and forth is going to stop eventually, and that's when we're really going to see a victor of the series.
Absolutely. And this turn for Melira, I feel like there's so many different lines she can take. She could just drop the big ol' whelp. She can do something with, like, the Bone Chewer Brawler, Og Merchant, and a Zixor, or, you know, there's just so many things here. But picking up that kill command, she's able to actually use the Desert Spear and pick off this Kronx, clear the board, and now she's got something on board. So pretty solid.
Mm-hmm. But the answers keep coming.
That's right. So many.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna see a giant Edwin here.
Mm-hmm. That's the answer that I was looking at, and
ooh, this
got
is gonna
all
be
the
big.
lackeys.
Yeah. Oh, another Shadow Step too.
Oh, that's
just
perfect.
And I want to point out too that anybody who knows this matchup, who's played Rogue, seen other people play Rogue, this is the kind of turn, and Nysil, I think, did this really, really nicely. She waited kind of a couple seconds, but she saw, I can go in for an Edwin this turn, and she started doing the plays because she knew she was going to have to maybe do some discovers. She was going to have to wait for some animations with like the Shadow Step going back in her hand. And she started making those decisions very quickly because she knew otherwise she'd start to run out of time to get the Edwin out. Yeah. So I really like that she kind of just quickly went in on all of those decisions to get that down.
Well, here's where the Bone Wraith comes in handy.
Yeah.
We talked about this being a necessary asset for the hunter to have, and you can see firsthand why this is so important, because you have to stave off this damage and also buy yourself enough time to figure out a way to deal with a 16/16 Edwin Van Cleef. And it just gets worse from here. Nysil has Flick Sky Shiv.
Yep, and a sap in hand as well, so I really like this choice from Melira to actually use the Og Merchant to just ping off that 1/1 and push some damage instead of using the Merchant to kind of protect one of these taunts even more. I really like that. I think that's a very heads-up line of play that she took there.
Yeah. And another thing that I actually think was like a really good play from Nysil was also picking the sap. There was definitely a reason to want to go for going with like, I could do backstab and have an 18/18 Edwin Van Cleef here. That would have been really greedy. So looking forward to those next couple of turns and saying, hey, I know what's in Melira's deck list. I know there are going to be some taunts that I might have to get through. So sap ends up working out perfectly.
Yeah. And now, again, I feel like Melira is basically just in that same position as last turn. Like, staring down this gigantic Edwin, not really an answer to it, kind of just like you were talking about earlier. The answers have kind of run out now, and how does she answer this? Does it have to be an Unleash to clear the 2/1 and just drop the Bone Wraith for a taunt? Is that going to be enough to do it?
Or do you Bran and push? Ooh, but you're at 15. Nysil's at 15. Has that Shield of Galakrond too. I mean, obviously we see this with caster vision, but
Right.
Yeah. Okay, pushing to try to get this, Zixer coming through. Did they get off in time? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so pretty much leaving Nysil with 21 if she uses the dagger. The 20 on board from these minions, so Nysil needs to pick up another 5 damage.
Sylphie deals with 1 hound.
Gonna
Obviously
try to
can't
search
use
for
it.
Lackey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ooh,
so many
not
Titanic Lackeys.
No, the Rogue just doing nice a little dirty here with the Titanic Lackey pickups. Yeah.
And
I think
those are the
risky.
last invokes as well, right? I believe that Galakron is fully invoked now.
Mm-hmm. It's so risky to like get rid of the Zixer.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like, I don't mind just not killing that, just for the potential to not let Malira draw into it.
Oh, well, that's not what gets drawn into.
Nope.
Brand's not going to be enough damage either because of the taunts. Titanic actually came in clutch. Despite that not being what Nysil might have wanted in order to, like, push enough damage to take this series. Huffer? Not enough mana to use the Brand 2, though.
No. I mean, just gonna have to be a Bone Wraith. I guess Bone Wraith and Hero Power, and then that's not gonna be enough either. So,
nope.
Whew. Whoa, Nysil taking the series 2-1 and moving up in the bracket.
Yeah, what a phenomenal series, though. Honestly, like, you gotta hand it to Malira for playing to all of her outs there, and also being just on the brink of being able to get that series win. But I think this is going to be a really, really great grand finals. We have a veteran in Revi that has made it through on the other side of the bracket, and Nysil, obviously an incredible and talented competitor herself. And I'm super excited to see this grand finals. But before we get to it, we're going to take a short break. And then when we come back, the conclusion of Week 3 for the Supergirl Gamer Pro. Don't go anywhere.
For a long time, we had to prove ourselves. But we always knew what we were capable of. We knew when the time came, we would be ready for anything. Our numbers keep rising. And so do we.
I never thought I'd feel this way.
No, don't hold on to me.
It's all worth it.
Ladies, Chris.
I hear that's really bad for you.
What? No, this is about finding true love.
No, I mean the screen.
Oh, no, we're all good there. These Zenny lenses, they block the blue light.
I mean, that's still really bad for you.
This is amazing. Please go away.
Chelsea.
Oh, no, don't pick her. Oh.
So I'm gonna hold on promoting you this quarter. Cool?
Drop the taco. Get in the car. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you?
Wait, what?
The handling, it's good, right? No compromise there.
Nope. Watch this.
Breathe. Rear automatic braking. So if this Nissan Sentra isn't going to compromise, why should you? You're right. Atta girl.
The all-new Nissan Sentra with more standard safety features than any other car in its class.
No one knows where it comes from. Why some have it and some don't. It's the fighting spirit. It consumes fear and weakness. It stands ready to fight whatever shape the battle takes. Because as long as there are battles, there will always be
everyone, and welcome back. Supergirl Gamer Pro Hearthstone Edition, brought to you by Rosemary and Dawn. And we wouldn't even be here if it weren't for our fabulous sponsors. So let's thank them one last time for the evening. Thank you so much to Nissan, to the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Marine Corps, and GameStop, and Zenny Gaming. Dawn, you're a glasses wearer. Let's talk a little bit about these awesome glasses from Zenny Gaming. Make sure you armor your eyes with the Zenny Blocks virtually clear blue blockers. It's important to protect your eyes from the harmful blue light from your digital screens, so you'll have less eye strain, and that makes for better sleep and performance. Check them out at zenny.com/gaming or follow them at Zenny Gaming on Twitter and Instagram. No, I definitely have to get my hands on a pair of those because I sit at the computer all day, and especially for long broadcasts like this, it's great to have that protection for your eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. And they actually have a really cool online virtual try-on. I went on and I tested it, and you basically just go in there and it leads you through all the prompts, and you kind of take a picture of yourself and line up the camera in there. Super easy to follow, and you kind of get to see how the glasses look on you through that virtual thing, which also is great right now when places are having these like social distance regulations. So very helpful to have that. So definitely go on there, check it out. I mean, honestly, even if you just go on there and like play around with the virtual try-on thing, gets you on the site, check it out. It's sweet.
Yeah, definitely go check them out. But let's also check out the bracket. Let's see how we even got here to our grand finals. Our grand finals are between Nasil and Revi. Revi has been coming into this week with 50 points. Nasil with a chunk of 75. And both of these women now fighting for that 100-point first place prize for this week. Second place is going to go home with 75. Either way, you are one step closer to maintaining your top 8 spot to get you to that grand finals that are in San Diego, California, October 3rd to 4th. So I think this is going to be a great match between these two women.
I do as well, and I just want to run through the deck list really quickly before we jump into the first game. So we've seen both of these women on stream already tonight, but Revi playing this Warlock, which was banned out earlier when we saw Revi on stream, but it does look like a kind of zoo type Warlock that actually has some sea giants, Hunter, the Highlander Hunter, and Murloc Paladin, and from Nasil, the Rogue that we saw her play out in that previous series with the Warrior and Highlander Hunter as well. So really interesting decks, and I feel like with these Warriors coming in, and there's some aggro, but the Warrior, and honestly even the Rogue, I feel like has dealt with some of these aggro decks pretty quickly.
Yeah, I definitely think that the Warrior deck has done a phenomenal job. And like Nasil, honestly, as a whole, has really kind of felt to me like she has a great beat on what other people were going to bring to this week 3 tournament. With the decks that she brought, with that Bomb Warrior, which is a little bit more control oriented, and then you also have the Highlander Hunter. Those are just decks that do really, really great against aggro, just because of all of their removal tools. So Galakrond Rogue, not so much, because we did talk about the struggles that a Galakrond Rogue can face against wide boards. And that's kind of what Revi's game plan is to develop as wide a board as possible to push so much of that damage forward, particularly when you're looking at the Murloc Paladin, as well as this very interesting Warlock.
Yeah, absolutely. And with bringing both of those decks, it does look like Revi has banned Nasil's Warrior, which definitely makes a lot of sense with what you just mentioned, with those decks being able to go wide on board and the Warrior just being able to kind of decimate those wide boards. So the Warrior has been banned for Nasil, and actually the Highlander Hunter for Revi has been banned. So let's go ahead and jump into the first game. And it is going to be Revi with this Murloc Paladin and Nasil on the Rogue.
Murloc Paladin gonna get off to a pretty speedy start, especially if you're gonna look at the imprisoned Murloc that has just hit the board. But some stealth as well, so neither of these boards really gonna be able to get hit right now.
Yeah, and also a little bit interesting here, we see this Miscreant in hand for Nysil, but Revi was the one that has the coin. So kind of a little bit less effective Miscreant turn 3. So I'm guessing we're not going to see that Miscreant come down next turn from Nysil. Going to be a little bit later of a Miscreant.
But you did just get that Cold Lightseer, and when you don't have any Murloc synergy on your side of the board, it makes for a pretty good tempo turn as well. Or you could just use a Seal Fate since you do have the Fishblinger.
Yeah. There could even be an argument for the Pharaoh Cat and a Dagger, but I hesitate to even bring that up just because this Murloc Paladin can put out so much damage that it's a little bit scary to start taking damage already. So I do like the Seal Fate instead.
Yeah.
And I almost would say just keep this Skyvateer stealthed to try to ping off one of these Murlocs next turn.
I would like that too. And especially because Nysil is running more of that stealth package in the Galakrond Rogue. Having the stealth on your side can really do some wonders if you pull the right cards, but Under Light Angling Rod, going to help refresh Revi's hand just a little bit more, give her a few more resources, and that's pretty good. That's a pretty good draw there from that bottom of the river.
Yeah, not bad at all. Ooh. What? Ooh. This feels like a slightly awkward turn. Like, there's so many things that I feel like you want to do if you're Nysil here. I mean, I definitely feel like this Skyvateer is probably bumping into one of these 1 health minions. It's just a matter of, do you just go in with this Pharaoh Cat and then Miscreant? Do you want a Titanic Lackey this turn? Is she going to use the Shadow Step? I feel like she's going to use the Shadow Step in one of the next couple turns on a Lackey. Especially if she can end up finding like a Kobold Lackey, right? Want that Shoot Lackey and be able to clear up a couple of different minions.
Oh, the Shoot Lackey is just so valuable in this matchup. No buff minions for Revi, though. Maybe trying to find one with the Angling Rod, so I really like this order of effect. But no, it will be the Furious Felfin that hits the board. We'll be able to clear out that evil Miscreant, and then I think you can just sack one of these 1/1s into a 2. But Murgurgle is the find.
So good.
It's so good.
I love it so much. Like, everything about Murgur is amazing. It's so good. Okay.
That's a tongue twister.
It is.
Can you say it 5 times fast? Because I don't think I'd be able to.
Oh, probably not. You know what? I will save the audience from me attempting that on broadcast, and I'll try it like privately in my mirror or something where, it's not gonna bother anyone's eardrums. But
in your mirror, though, I feel like that's one of those scenarios. You say Murgurgle 3 times in the mirror, and then it shows up behind you. I don't know if you want to do that either.
That is fair enough, but Nysil, for her, that nightmare is a reality. She is staring that Murgur down, and it's just a matter of how she wants to play out these things from her hand, because she actually had a pretty good sized hand here. Okay, I think she was maybe debating for a second about the Shadow Step, but I think she's going to want to wait a little bit on that Shadow Step. Oh, the Toxfin.
Not only the Toxfin, but you also have the War Leader as well.
Yeah.
It's just like a really great option after you've used the poisonous minion. Or just Consecrate here, because like, what better board are you really going to have? There's so many options that Revi can go for to just clear out these last 2 minions and then push all of this damage phase.
Yeah, there's... I almost feel like this is opposite of kind of the Murloc Paladin game we saw earlier, where although Revi did play that game, I believe it was still Revi that we saw that game, did play it very well, but only managed to have like 3, maybe 4 things on board the whole time, and only kind of like 1 or 2 cards in hand. But this game has managed to go wide on board, has, 4 cards in hand for an aggro deck. Like, let's talk about that for a second. That feels like a good hand size for an aggro deck. Like, 4 cards, you got a good hand. It's full. But Nycil has even more options here. And again, like, how many games is this now? We have seen the Galakrond and the Kronks in hand at the same time.
It such a feels bad when that happens because you want to be able to use the Kronks to draw the Galakrond, but this way around, you kind of have to wait to use the Galakrond before the Kronks can be active. And especially when you're looking at trying to find full value from the Galakrond, you gotta wait for the right pieces to come into hand. Shield of Galakrond, Seal Fates, all of those pieces. But now the Shadow Step has to come through to stave off this damage. Stop the bleeding, if you will.
Yeah. I don't mind her just going in on this play here, because I think what she's setting up for is, like you mentioned, just to try to stave off some of the damage. Maybe it clears a couple of the minions. I think she's just going to go for the Galakrond next turn into maybe a Kronks clear the turn after that. But yeah, she's going to want to get this Galakrond online quickly so that she can take advantage of the Kronks battle cry. And if she's able to pull that off, she might be sitting in a pretty good spot in the game, because it's going to be a little bit difficult for Revi to actually build up a board again after that.
Yeah, that's kind of the struggle of the Murloc Paladin. You can do quite a bit to be able to just, buff your build your board at the very beginning, because you get off to such a fast start, but then if your hand isn't full after that, like we mentioned, 4 cards, full hand, then it's really hard to rebuild after it gets taken out.
Yeah, but Revi has just been playing this Murloc Paladin so well in all of the games we've seen so far. And I mean, this game also, getting the early game and it sticking on board has really made a huge difference. I mean, it is turn 7 now, and Nycil was at 9, and now has additional 5 from this Galakrond. Like, that is so much damage that she has been able to push, and it's not slowing down.
Nope, that's going to be the first game right there. I love that Revi held on to the Murloc War Leader almost as like a what is the we just saw it too, and now I'm just like blanking on the card name. Like the Druid spell gives you +2. This happens all the time.
Oh, and in the Paladin list, the Hand of Adal.
No, I'm just off my rocker. I don't know what to say. But basically, like, I like that the War Leader was held onto by Revi just for that extra burst damage at the end. And you know what? The card's going to come to me at the middle of the second game, and I'm just going to blurt it out, and everyone's going to be like, yes, Necra, you finally got there. Or also maybe just smack your head onto your forehead, because, like, why am I bringing it up in the middle of the broadcast? But, yeah, what a fantastic first game between these two players. Revi is going to take that 1-game lead, and Nycil now has a choice for this Warlock. Do you run the Galakrond Rogue again, or do you go with the Highlander Hunter? And it looks like it is the Rogue once again.
It is.
But Dawn, the problem remains here that Warlocks are also quite good at going wide on board, especially this lineup.
Yes, that is quite a problem that I feel like these rogues have been facing, like, every series that we've seen tonight. And, I want to mention again, we've talked about the fact that Nycil's rogue deck tops out at that 7-mana Galakrond. And even here in this hand, I mean, we already see a 5, we see some 3s. And against an aggro deck, honestly, like, looking at a 5-mana minion and some 3s, that even feels slow. Like, where are all of the 1-drops? Where are the 2-drops? Where are these early minions? And where are things that are going to help on board, like these backstabs? Where are these early game resources that she's looking for? And again, here she's gonna go out with these multiple resources here, use the coin now, which is gonna slow down her use of this miscreant. But if she doesn't try to capture this game early, it can spiral out of control really quickly.
Absolutely. Revi's gonna just play out this Dragonblight Cultist, and the invoke for Galakrond. Like, you don't see Galakrond Warlock super often, but I think the power from Galakrond is actually really strong against the rogue because you go so wide. Oh, but here's Backstab.
It's going to help a little bit here for sure. And it also allows Nysil to play out this miscreant, which is fantastic. She probably would have just gone in on that Seal Fate on something. It would feel a little bad, using this 3 mana to deal that, but picking up the backstab was pretty good there for sure.
Backstab worked out super well for Nysil's favor, but Revi still has a lot of resources, and you know what? I'm just gonna mention it, Dawn, because it came into my head. It was Savage Roar. The Warrior was a Savage Roar in that case, and I am not ashamed that I forgot the name of it on broadcast.
That's okay. I had the hiccup last week with one of Nysil's games as well, with, trying to what happened with the Kronks, and she wasn't Galakrond. It happens. That's okay. We've got a lot going on. We're trying to look at both sides of the match here. There's a lot of cards being thrown around. I think we're doing just fine. We got this. But speaking of a lot of things being thrown around, there's a lot of things being thrown around right now by Nysil, and just, again, I feel like we're seeing this back and forth. We've seen this back and forth a lot, and I feel like after these nerfs, in a lot of tournaments that we've been seeing, these matchups have really become very board-focused.
Absolutely. And what a good answer that Revi has to the board that Nysil does. You can just use your imps to clear out the Draconic Lackeys. You've got the Flame Imp here. I like Fiendish Rite as well, to just go ahead and also invoke. You also get that buff onto the invoked imps that come through. So that's a lot of damage. And now Revi has this choice of, do I, go ahead and trade into the Evil Miscreant, or do I just push this damage knowing that I have the initiative right now?
Yeah, and looks like she's just gonna take that damage face, just push the damage push, and threaten and make Nysil deal with the board, because we keep talking about how it's a little bit difficult for the rogue to deal with such wide boards. So yeah, I really like that. Just, hey, I'm gonna put on the pressure, and you have to come up with the answers. And it's just going to allow me, hey, if she does clear the board, well, she's going to be able to draw a bunch next turn on Revi's side there, just to follow up with that Veil Worshipper and start that draw into Galakrond the next turn. That seems like a solid line of play here.
I like it. Oh, you also have the Kronks now. And there's the Sea Giant. Yeah, Galakrond looks really nice next turn.
Yeah, definitely. I'm wondering, this Evasive Worm to me looks pretty solid. Just kill off that 5/4. If Nysil really wants to, she can bump in the 1/1. She could really just clear the board again, or she can leave the Mermy as it is. But the Evasive Worm looks pretty solid. I think it also sets up, if you expect Revi to play the Galakrond next turn, you also then have a 5/3 out on board to kind of contest whatever comes off of that Galakrond.
Yeah, but I also kind of like... I saw the Twilight Drake play as well, and I was like, oh, that's also not terrible, just because you're getting probably the most value from the Twilight Drake than what you will for the next or the rest of the turns in the game. But at the end of the day, the Evasive Worm definitely puts on just a bit more pressure. So we'll see what this Galakrond pulls if that's what happens.
Yeah, I think I like the Evasive Worm. Although, the Twilight Drake play is not that bad either. Using it with that Goblin Lackey to rush it in. No weapon coming along with this Galakrond here, but the thing that I really like about the Evasive Worm is that it also is untargetable. So if there is no Galakrond from Revy, and instead there's some board answers, there's no potential for it to be targeted. And I'm just gonna pull up the deck list and make sure, is there any spells even that I don't even see any spells. The only spell that Revy is even playing in this Warlock deck is Sinister Deal to generate, and then I guess Fiendish Rites, but there's no targetable. No targetable extra damage.
Well, maybe spell's not too big of a deal in this matchup, but Evasive Worm proving that it was the right play with all of that health coming in for that demon. But
that Antian is going to be a little awkward. And I feel like that might be why Nycil went in on this Twilight Drake, to try to just get a bunch of health out on the board for the next turn, when that hopefully can keep a big board here, and then that Antian isn't going to deal as much. But ooh, this Kronks. Does she just go in on the deal 5 to everything else? Yeah. Okay. I don't mind it.
No. I think this honestly puts Revy in a really good position to get these Sea Giants out on board. Wide board means problems for the rogue, especially when we've already seen both backstabs get used and an eviscerate. You have to come up with minion answers now to the boards that Revy is presenting. Do you eviscerate here?
That's what I'm wondering too. There's potential to go in with the Goblin Lackey, I guess. You could even Shadow Step it and use it again if you really wanted to. Or just the Eviscerate. It almost feels like overkill to use the Avis and a 4 attack to clear a 6 health.
Ooh, Togwaggle. That's a pretty good pull for these next couple of turns.
Okay, again, just trying to buff up the health on the board for this Antian about to wake up here. Where will these hits go?
Wow.
Ooh.
Sea Giant's looking pretty good at the moment.
Yeah.
Because even if you use the 1/1s that are on board to just clear off Nycils, well, you know... Oh, yeah. Oh, Knife Juggler, too.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Okay, face. Can try for 2. I really like this setup as well because, like you mentioned, Revy can just trade in these 1/1s, and then there's actually still enough mana left over to do the hero power as well. And just send even more damage face with that Knife Juggler.
Yeah.
And wow, look how far ahead on board Revy is now.
Which is really interesting because given the resources that Nycil had in hand just a couple of turns ago, before obviously we saw these huge power plays come out from Revy, I almost had in the back of my head, like, Nycel, if she could just develop a board, has this, especially with all of the taunts and all of the tricks that were up her sleeve, but she's running out of those spell resources to be able to clear off these big minions, and especially when it comes down to the Sea Giants, you just need to push one of those Sea Giants or the Anzi into face, and that's going to seal the series for Revy.
Yeah, and I mean, with both of those Sea Giants coming down right now, a flick would look pretty nice for Nycel, but it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she just tries to get some taunts out on board, hoping that the taunts plus the bit of healing is going to be enough, but there is just so much damage on board here. This could be really devastating here for Nycel.
Kartik Defender coming into play, though. If the Knife Juggler hits right...
I mean, there's so many
Dragonblight,
chances. Yeah. And... no, misses.
Misses the Kartut. But you can use the Knife Juggler, and
Yep.
then that sends 18 to face, sealing
Wow.
this game for Revy, taking the series. So Nycel comes in second, but Revy comes in first. Congratulations for winning week 3 of the Supergirl Gamer Pro.
Wow. What a 2-0 finals. That was crazy. And just on Nycel's side, that rogue just not getting there. It wasn't quite enough. So wow.
Yeah, it was such a great day of Hearthstone, though. We saw so much versatility in decks, even just like in the individual archetypes, the different deck lists that were getting run, and the tech choices that were there. So many different heroes being chosen for this as well, where we almost saw the full gambit of what's there to offer, except the shaman. But I really, really loved this week's play. And also just like all the series that we got a chance to watch. I don't know, Dom, what were some of your favorite moments from tonight?
Oh. I mean, all of those portals coming out earlier was, even though it didn't end well, but like seeing all of the portals just shooting out and then it not overdrawing portals, it was like, kind of the way you really want Druid to play out. Unfortunately, the way that game did pan out, it ended up as a loss that game for the Druid, but I feel like the way that game went was just incredible.
Yeah, I really liked seeing the Druid get a chance to shine. But honestly, what might have actually just kind of been the standout to me was actually seeing Edelweiss's Tempo Demon Hunter still get a chance to work. Because, like, that was really unique, and especially with all the nerfs that have come through to that deck list, it was just like, whoa, you're still somehow making this function. And so that was really, really fun to see. Let's take a quick look at the bracket for our top 8 onwards, just to see how we got to the point where Revy is going to take it all home. Nycel, valiant effort, working her way through the other half of the bracket, and Revy as well matching that. But at the end of the day, it is going to be Revy taking home the 100 points and Nycel with a cool 75. So some nice chunk of change there as we move into our next couple of weeks of Hearthstone. But Dawn, just remind everybody, these are weekly tournaments. So if you didn't get a chance to participate today, you could participate next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, each week is its own individual tournament, which allows these women to play in as many of them as they want to. If there's a week they can't play, that's totally fine. But they do accumulate points, like you were just talking about, with them picking up these points every single time that they play, even if they end up getting knocked out in the first round. So, go to the website, check it out, enter the tournaments whenever you can over these there's still 6 weeks to go, so still 6 more tournaments, 6 more chances to earn points. So jump in there and join the Discord, follow on Twitter, and Necro will plug all of those here in one moment for you all. But get in there in all of the places and get involved. Check out the ways. And I mean, 6 weeks still to go. We saw tonight that Revy just kind of cruised through that bracket, picking up all those points. And you kind of mentioned a few rounds ago how Edelweiss, even though she did kind of get knocked out a little bit earlier, she still picked up some points. And even some of the matches earlier getting some points, they're still in contention for those final 8 to move into the finals in San Diego in October.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Don mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and just rattle off all the places you can find the Supergirl Gamer Pro action. First and foremost, head over to the website, www.supergirlgamerpro.com. That's where you can find out more information about all of the tournaments that are being run for the Supergirl Gamer Pro circuit, including Hearthstone, League of Legends, and CSGO. And also follow us on socials. Facebook and Twitter at SG Gamer Pro, and also join the Discord like Don mentioned. So if you don't have teammates, then you can find some in that Discord. And also just keep up to date with all of the happenings for the tournament from our lovely admins. So thank you so much for watching tonight. Thank you to our production team as well as our admin team for putting on this amazing week of Hearthstone. And we will see you all next Friday as we kick things back off with week 4 for CSGO. We'll see you then.
It's not just the ships, the armor, or the aircraft. It's something more. It's the will to fight and determination to win, found inside each and every Marine that answers a nation's call. Battles won.
So I'm gonna hold on promoting you this quarter. Cool?
Drop the taco. Get in the car. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you? Wait, what? The handling, it's good, right? No compromise there. Nope.
Watch this.
Brake. Rear automatic braking. So if this Nissan Sentra isn't going to compromise, why should you? You're right. Atta girl.
The all-new Nissan Sentra with more standard safety features than any other car in its class.
I never thought I'd feel this way.
No, don't hold on to me.
It's all worth it.
Ladies, Chris.
I hear that's really bad for you.
What? No, this is about finding true love.
No, I mean the screen.
Oh, no, we're all good there. These Zenny lenses, they block the blue light.
I mean, that's still really bad for you.
This is amazing. Please go away.
Chelsea.
Oh, no, don't pick her. Oh.
Turn around, I feel the breeze over me. You watch your dreams unfold. Let it come around and let it breathe over me. It's time to go away into the light. I feel the calming energy. I see the darkness come.